Watch me take this graphic from this to this. Hello, and welcome to this episode of Make It Your Own Design Academy. My name is Cynthia Akita, and I am taking this sports flyer and turning it into a book launch flyer. So you'll see this original template that I'm using. You can see the athlete right in the middle there with their foot on the ball and the shadow underneath. I'm actually going to use that area as the focal point of my author. And so as you can see already, I've changed that background text to book launch. I believe in the beginning it said final game. And so I've switched that up so that it says book launch. And then I'm looking for a photo of my author that I can use. And you'll see that she had a couple of photos for us to kind of choose from. And so as with all the other flyers I designed for her, we kind of made a couple of variations because of how she felt about certain photos, whether she wanted to use one over the other, so on and so forth. And so because she is the focal point of my design, I put her right there in the middle because I want everyone to see how amazing and beautiful she is and to just celebrate with her as she has achieved this major accomplishment of becoming an author and is now telling everybody about the launch. And so you'll see that I'm just centering her. I am going to start working on the color choice and change that to, I believe I changed it to a beige, which we'll see. You can see me actually do it right now. I'm changing it to the beige color. Because again, red is not a part of her color palette. And so as I am using some of these templates, I want to make sure that I am staying true to the customer's brand, or even as you're working on your templates, you want to make sure that you're staying true to your brand by using your color palette and your fonts and your design and branding elements, because you want to make sure that although you're using a template, you want to have that same feel. You want to have that same, what do you want to call it? Like the feel, and you want people to be able to identify that graphic belongs to your brand because you're using the visual elements and the colors, the color palette, and then eventually down to your messaging, because you want to sound the same across anything that you are creating, whether it's a graphic, whether it's a flyer. Well, flyers are graphic, but if it's something that you're printing out or something that you're doing digitally, whatever you create, you want to make sure that it sends the same message and it has the same type of tone and all of those things. So I am going ahead to ensure that the fonts are aligning with the fonts that I used in the other flyers that I created for her as she went along her journey from, the announcement to the book signing and now to the book launch. And so you'll see me go back and forth a bit about that. So here you'll see me putting in some additional details and elements about the location and where things are going to be. Then you'll see me delete a couple of things and kind of re-add them and Now you see me add in the author's name. I'll go ahead and also add the mock-up of the book, because that is also the star of the show. And so I did create a couple of mock-ups of the book that I could utilize. And so I'm going to play around and see with which one I want to use for this particular graphic. And so as you can see on the left-hand side, I'm kind of scrolling through to kind of determine which one I think will work for this particular graphic. And so once I make that choice, you'll see it there on the screen, and then you'll see me manipulating it to fit the rest of the theme there. So as you can see, I've selected that book cover. I want to show the front and the back per the author's wishes. She wants everyone to see the front and the back. Of course, working on the book, work on it for so long, even though it didn't take too long for her. You know, you work on something and you definitely want people to see all the aspects of it. So I put that there for her. And then again, I'm going back to add her name once again. And I'll put that in an area where people can see it clearly, but it's not, you know, overpowering or taking over the flyer or the graphic. And then you'll see me go ahead and add her. She actually had a favorite pattern for this particular book. She came across a pattern and fell in love with it, and she wanted it to be seen. Even if it was in a minute manner, she wanted it to be seen on every single part of the graphics created for this book launch, along with, you know, the bookmarks that we created for her. And it's even a part of the book cover. If you ever get a chance to look at the book cover closely, you'll see that on the clipboard that's on the front there, you'll see that that pattern is actually the cover or the background of the clipboard. So you'll see that it's a very important part of her branding for this book. And so yeah, you'll see me play around with her name, moving it around because I'm trying to figure out where I want to put it. And then again, you'll see me add in just some tiny little strips of that pattern that she loves so much, because it is a busy pattern and I don't want it to overtake the entire look of the flyer. So stay tuned for that. Now, I really wanted to keep a very clean look, hence the template that I chose. And so, although I'm playing around with the colors here, I want to make sure that it's something that complements the photo of my author. But in addition to that, I also want to go ahead and add some gold elements, because gold is a big part of the branding for this book. And so because my author is a floor wrap designer, she does it for weddings, for events, birthdays, celebration of life, all of those things. I want to make sure that I add some elements of gold. And so I end up doing that with some confetti or streamers, confetti/streamers, gold streamers, that I found right on Canva in the elements section there. And I use that to highlight the celebration component, because the book is entitled Celebrate, praying for your celebration. And so I want to highlight that celebration tone while we're also celebrating the fact that she has written a book, right? So you'll see me put some of that there, right there on the screen in the top left corner, but then also on the bottom right hand side as well in a blurred manner, just to give off that celebration vibe, but also not overdo it at the same time. So you'll see me put it up there, and then you'll also see it on the bottom as well. So now that I've figured out the general look of the flyer, you'll see me go ahead and change the colors. I like to create a lot of copies. So as I mentioned, my author had amazing photos. She had multiple photos that we could kind of choose from and use. And so I decided to make a variation because I know my author. I know she's going to ask for it. And so I made it in advance so that she could decide which flyer she would rather go with. And I don't remember specifically which one she ended up choosing. I think we'll probably see it towards the end. But again, I wanted to make sure that she had some options to choose from, because, one day she likes one photo, the next day she likes the other one, which is just very normal and typical of us as women, right? So I went ahead and changed the colors there, and also changed the location of her name as well to see if that was going to work too. Again, just to provide a variety and some options, because sometimes we just need to see how things work one way versus another and then kind of go from there. And then you'll also see me trying another mock-up to see what that would look like instead of the front and back cover that I initially had there. So I'm just trying things out. And again, designing for everyone to see is a bit hard, because you guys are seeing more of my process, and it's normal. Everything doesn't come out perfectly on the first try. As a designer, that almost never happens. But it's worth trying, because at the end of the day, you never know what it will turn into. And that's just the great part about designing. That's the fun part about designing, that you're just never going to know how things are going to turn out. And so you just experiment and you have a lot of fun with it along the way. So as you can see, I am going back to that front and back cover look, although it's not the exact same cover that I used in the first variation of the flyer. It's another option, but again, it shows the front and the back cover. And so play around with your templates and see what you like. At the end of the day, it's all an experiment. Even for designers who have been doing it for a long time, they still experiment, because we don't always have it all figured out. And that is perfectly fine, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, all we can do is really try. So as you're seeing on the screen, I am adding a bit of an ombre effect, just to take away that harsh cutoff line that you see of my author there. And so before, what you saw was like just a straight line that cuts off the rest of her body, but adding that ombre effect gives it an opportunity to be tapered off, so it's not just an abrupt cutoff there. And so that's a great part of having an ombre, or you can search white fade, as I searched in the elements section of Canva, and that will give you what you're looking for. All right, so there you have it. That's what I came up with for my author, those two variations, and that's the original that we started with. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next episode.